Good morning. Welcome to the Connecticut Women's Hall of Fame. My name is Tina Carlson and I am the programs coordinator here at the Hall. If you are interested in booking a speaker for your organization or in hosting one of our exhibits, please visit us at cwhf.org and I would be happy to help you with that. Over here we have Kim Wilson, and Kim is our Senior Manager of Administration. And Kim, I see that above your desk you have a picture of Constance Baker Motley. Is she one of your favorite inductees?
She is, Tina. She was inspired to become a lawyer at the age of 15 after reading Lincoln's declaration that the legal profession was the most challenging of vocations. And in spite of a lack of both encouragement and role models, she went on to become the first female African-American federal court judge and to successfully argue 9 U.S. Supreme Court civil rights cases. I certainly don't think that anyone has to know what they want to be when they're 15, but I have nothing but respect for someone who does know and has the determination to pull it off, particularly in the face of so many obstacles. As Constance said about herself, about her decision to pursue law, she was the kind of person who would not be put down. And she wasn't kidding. And as a nation, we're a better place because of it, because of her work on crucial civil rights cases like Brown versus the Board of Education and so many others. So thanks, Constance.
She is truly an inspiration, absolutely. Thanks for sharing, Kim. Over here we have Michelle. Michelle is our office assistant, one of our creative hands here at the office, and we appreciate everything that she does here. And Michelle, I see you also have a favorite inductee. Can you tell us more about her? This is Caroline Maria Hewins. Can you tell us about her?
I sure can. She was a fabulous lady who was the head of the Hartford Public Library for over 50 years. She is credited with transforming the library into a major cultural and intellectual resource for the city of Hartford. She is best known for her advocacy work on behalf of children's books and children readers. In 1904, she opened one of the first children's rooms in a public library in the city of Hartford, which became a model for children's rooms in libraries across the country. Personally, I feel as though there's no better place than a library, especially a children's room. I spent many happy hours as a child exploring books and participating in wonderful activities provided by my local library, and am lucky enough to pass along and share in similar experiences with my own 2 young sons. There's no other place so full of history and information, just brimming with ideas and imagination, where a child can be introduced to the gifts of reading, learning, and imagining than in the children's room of a public library. And for that, I give thanks to the wonderful Caroline Maria Hewins, whose hard work provided a much-needed resource and continues to inspire a lifetime of reading in children across the country.
That's great. It certainly proves that sometimes the quiet ones can produce a revolution as well. Thank you, Michelle. Have a great day. So we are not actually a physical museum that you can come and visit, but we do have part of our portrait gallery hanging on the wall, and these portraits are available to host with free of charge. Here's just a few of them that we have that are available. And in this office, we have Kat Glore.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good
Kat
morning.
is our new executive director, and we are very happy to have her here at the Hall. And are you having a great day, Kat?
I am indeed.
Great, and settling into the Hall?
I am.
Good. Now, I see, Kat, in your office that you have quite a few inductees on your wall as well. And you're probably getting to know some of them. It's been just a short time, but have you picked a favorite one yet?
Oh, it's hard to pick a favorite, but I'm lucky to be surrounded by these women every day. If I had to choose someone today, I think it'd be this over here. So if you have enjoyed the right to privacy, or if you or someone you love has ever used birth control, then you have Catherine Rohrbach to thank for that. So Katie Rohrbach was born in 1920 in Brooklyn, although she comes from a long-standing Connecticut family, very politically active. Ironically, perhaps one of her uncles was a staunch opponent to women's suffrage, but she was quite the feminist. She graduated from Mount Holyoke in 1940 or 41, and then went on to Yale Law School, where she was the only woman in her graduating class. After that, she moved to Litchfield County, and in 1955, she took over the family's law practice there. Now, in the 50s, Connecticut was still essentially existing under the Comstock Act, which made it illegal to prevent conception in any way. Not only that, it made it illegal to even talk about how you would prevent conception. So this is in the 50s, too. So this was obviously an issue for many people. And in 1961, Dr. Lee Buxton and Estelle Griswold opened a birth control clinic in New Haven, Connecticut, with the intention that they would, in fact, get arrested so that they could litigate this. Their litigator was Katie Rohrabaugh, and took this case all the way to the Supreme Court, and in 1965 then won the right for privacy for married couples in the state of Connecticut. That was Griswold versus Connecticut. That later laid the groundwork for cases like Roe versus Wade. It also established the right to privacy, which you still hear about today all the time. So she was a true social justice warrior, a fighter. She was very active, again, politically. She represented civil rights workers in Mississippi. She also fought for the rights of American citizens who were caught up in the denaturalization process during the McCarthy era. She changed our world, and we are very lucky to have had her as part of our legacy here in the state of Connecticut. If you'd like to learn more, we actually have the transcript from an oral history interview that was done with Katie in 2003. You'll find that on our website, cwhf.org. And I hope that you'll also visit our website and find your own favorite inductee. And I also, of course, hope that I will see you at our next induction ceremony. That's Wednesday, November 2nd, up in Hartford, where we'll be inducting, among others, Rebecca Lobo, Jane Pauley, and Dr. Joyce Yearwood. Hope
That's
to see
great.
you then.
Thanks, Kat, and maybe next time we talk, you can tell us more about all these other wonderful women who are on your wall today.
I'd love to.
Great. Thank you, Kat. Here's a few more of the portraits that we have available. Again, you can request these to host free of charge right from our website, cwhf.org. Oh, and here we have Bambi and Sarah.
Hi, everyone.
Bambi is our Director of Education and Sarah is our Director of Development. And I'm guessing that they have favorite inductees to tell us about as well. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah.
Sarah, would you like to go first? Who is your favorite inductee?
Sure. My favorite inductee is Beatrice Fox Auerbach. She was born in 1887, and she was the president of G. Fox and Company up in Hartford. And she was the president for 38 years. All the while after her father died, her husband died, she was raising two young girls, and during the middle of the stock crash, so she was an incredible businesswoman, and she said, "Don't write about me as a businesswoman, call me a woman in business." The reason that she is my favorite, and I'm a fundraiser, so she's one of my favorites because she truly cared about the 3,000 employees that she was in charge of. She established the 5-day work week and the 40-hour work week, retirement plans. She had medical and lunch facilities for her employees, and she was the first person in the area to hire people of color and let them advance within the company. When she sold her company in the 1960s, which people are still mourning in Hartford today, she made $40 million on the sale of her company to May's department store. And she said, she swore that she would use it for the people. She said, "You won't find me on a yacht. I'm going to use my money for the people," which she did, and established a foundation. She was incredibly philanthropic to the area of Hartford, gave to medical institutions, cultural organizations, and educational institutions. So I think she was a fabulous woman. If everybody cared for their town, their city, like the way Beatrice did, we'd be in much better shape.
Wow, what an incredible woman. Thanks so much for sharing that, Sarah.
Thank you.
Surely she's an inspiration. And Bambi, I know that you've got favorites, and that's a plural. Have you picked one to tell us about today?
It's so hard to pick one. It's actually hard to pick 20 when we do our Talks on the Road programs. And my husband always jokes that I talk about these women like they're my best friends. But for today, I did pick one, and it's Dorrit Hoffleit, who was an astronomer and really the world's foremost expert in determining the absolute brightness of stars. And what I love about her story is the way that she used difficulties in her life to really fuel her and propel her forward. So we inducted her when she was later in life, so she was in her 80s. And in these interviews, she talks about this incident that happened when she was very little. She was walking down the street with her mother and came across her teacher, who had been the teacher of her older brother. And the teacher said to her mother right in front of her, Dora isn't nearly as bright as her brother, is she? Now, most of us, and when I say this to kids, most of the kids are like, oh my goodness, my mother would go crazy if somebody said that to her. But Dora's mother responded and said, what do you expect? She's only a girl. And so even though she had spent this wonderful career at Harvard, at Yale, becoming a world-renowned astronomer, she still spoke with emotion in her voice about that incident. So it really stuck with her. But she turned that around. She did go on and she studied math and science in college, fell in love with astronomy, and as I said, became one of the greatest astronomers of the 20th century. But even more importantly than that, and why she's so cool to me, is that she spent her career really trying to help young women come up in the sciences. So she created programs on Nantucket to bring young women interested in astronomy out there to teach them all that she knew. So she was really active up until the end of her life. And I just love to see that kind of thing. So she is featured in our STEM Femmes DIY history module, and she is just a great inductee to the Hall, as are so many of them. So I think we've heard from everyone, but Tina, you've been behind the camera. We haven't heard from you, so tell us about your favorite inductee.
Oh, absolutely. I'm happy to talk about her. I am an aficionado of the 18th century, so of course my favorite inductee is Hannah Bunce Watson. Hannah was the publisher of the Hartford Courant, one of the first female publishers in the United States, before it was the United States actually. She was born in 1750 and was a young widow by the age of 21 with a young child. She remarried Ebenezer Watson, who was the owner and publisher of the Connecticut Courant at the time, and he also had a couple of small kids of his own. And just a few years into their marriage, he contracted smallpox and died, leaving her with 5 children under the age of 7, an estate to settle, and a business to run, a very important business because at the time the Revolutionary War was in full swing. So a month after he had died and she had taken over the newspaper, the British had decided to close all of the Boston newspapers that were sympathetic to the Patriot cause. And they had cut off the import of paper. And the Courant actually happened to have a paper mill of its own, and they burnt it down. So here she is with a dwindling stock of paper and trying to figure out how to make this work. But she was very resourceful and immediately decided to continue publishing the paper, but made it only 1 piece of paper per copy. So the news was still getting out, only in a shorter format. Ironically, her husband's partner, Mr. Ledyard, had also died, leaving his widow, Sarah Ledyard. And Hannah and Sarah worked together. They appealed to the General Assembly in Connecticut for assistance. The General Assembly quickly organized a lottery to raise money to rebuild the mill, which they did, and the Connecticut Courant at that time had a circulation of about 8,000 people. Considering the population of the colonies at that time, that was pretty considerable mouthpiece for the Patriot cause. And they were able to continue publishing the paper, never missed a day, which is still a record that the Hartford Courant holds today. Sadly, Hannah Bunce Watson, she remained the publisher for 8 years until she remarried, and it was not until 1997 when Marty Petty became the second woman to take over the helm of the Hartford Courant. So, thank you very much for visiting the Connecticut Women's Hall of Fame. We hope that you'll look at our website, which is cwhf.org. You can find out lots more information about our inductees there, as well as how to book one of our programs or make a donation. Thank you.